The green transformation is one of the most important transformations of our society in more than 100 years. In this video, we're going to look at the electric vehicle industry. The demand for electric vehicles has exploded in the past couple of years, more than tripled over 3 years in terms of the share of the cars sold in the world. And in Q1 2023, more than 2.3 million electric vehicles were sold. This is the first time in history where we can begin to see the effect from electric vehicles on oil demand. The world is truly changing. If we look at the most direct way to invest in the electric vehicle industry, the electric vehicle manufacturers obviously come to mind. Tesla is the market leader, BYD out of China is number 2, and Volkswagen is number 3. But it's important to consider that Tesla is a pure play on electric vehicles. BYD still has gasoline cars, and the same goes for Volkswagen. There are other more pure EV makers out of China, Xpeng and NIO. So there are multiple choices for the investor if you want direct exposure to the electric vehicles manufacturing. Normally, the best way to get diversification is through ETFs when you want to invest in a theme. The problem with the EV theme is that there are very few pure exposure companies to the electric vehicle industry. And because you need to have at least 20 stocks in an ETF to be compliant, you often see a lot of technology companies in these ETFs that are tracking the electric vehicle industry. You see companies like Nvidia, Microsoft and Apple. But these 3 technology companies don't generate their revenue and profits from the electric vehicle industry. They might have a small exposure to it, but it's not the main exposure. And that is the problem with ETFs tracking the electric vehicle industry. So for the investor, you have to be a little bit more active and make a little bit more due diligence than normal. We definitely think that you should think twice before you invest in ETFs tracking the electric vehicle industry. It can be very difficult to predict which EV maker will be the #1 leader in the industry in the future. What we do know is that electrification and electric vehicles is part of the future. So it's often a good idea as an investor to go further down the value chain and find those companies that will grow a lot despite who will win producing the electric vehicles. So there are 3 main categories in the EV ecosystem. The first one is batteries. There are very few of the major battery manufacturers that you can invest in. So the alternative options on batteries are obviously investing in lithium miners. There are several publicly listed lithium miners. The second one is EV charging stations. Several EV charging systems are already publicly listed and provides a very good exposure to the growing number of electric vehicles. The third and final category is semiconductors. An EV uses 5 times more semiconductors than an old internal combustion engine car. The 2 largest companies producing semiconductors to the car industry is Infineon Technologies out of Germany and NXP Semiconductors out of the Netherlands, but is publicly listed in the US. There's also a discussion around alternative fuel options. Is battery the winning technology? If you look at consensus, the growing consensus is that battery will power passenger electric vehicles in the future. If we look at trucking, which is more heavy because of the containers and freight on those trucks, you need something that has a higher energy density. And here, hydrogen has been proposed as a fuel source. There are many different risks that you need to consider as an investor when you invest in the electric vehicle industry. But if I was to mention one, it is the equity valuation. The high growth outlook for the industry has caused equity valuation to be extremely high, both for EV manufacturers like Tesla, BYD, also for lithium miners and EV charging station networks. And high equity valuation means that the stock price is extremely sensitive to changing competitive landscape and changing growth outlook. So that is the key thing to remember as an investor. We here at Saxo hope this video gave you a lot of useful information about the electric vehicle industry and will help you inform you in your investment decisions. Thank you for watching.